From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Only 2 days left in 2020, but what does that mean for your chances of getting vaccinated in 2021? I'm Annie Johnson with that answer coming up.
The Butte Health Department has a rough outline of when and what people can take the new COVID-19 vaccine.
The Highlight Canyon in Gallatin County is a place that everyone in the area knows and loves, but they also know it for thick snow. One deputy mayor, who's also an author, looking to help.
Stopping unauthorized house parties this New Year's Eve. I'm Nichelle Medina with the new guidelines from Airbnb.
Well, the party isn't stopping here. You're watching the New Year's Eve edition of Montana This Morning. Holly Brantley here with Chet Lehman this morning, and it's looking pretty good outside.
Not too bad.
Little snow though.
A little snow, so roads are a little slick in places. You're going to want to be careful if you're doing
Makes
a little
it feel
driving
New
around.
Year's festive if you know whatever it takes.
It is the last day of December. Temperatures feeling like that, mid-20s to some 30s out there. Some windy conditions in Livingston right now, 35 to 45 mile an hour winds. Ennis more like 15 to 25 mile an hour. But look at that, 18 degrees above zero in West Yellowstone, not too bad. Temperatures today going to warm into those mid to upper 30s for the Bozeman area with partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies depending on the day part. Butte, same kind of thing, warming into that near above freezing for the first time in a while. And things get better for your New Year's Day. I'll have that detailed forecast, Holly, in 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Chet. Well, it takes a lot of work to keep the road open in one of Gallatin County's most traveled scenic sites, Highlight Canyon, especially in the winter. MTN's Cody Boyer found one source of help, Bozeman's deputy mayor and now author.
Well, we don't always get beautiful days like this here in Gallatin County this time of year, especially up in Highlight Canyon, where the snow is thick and the plow drivers are constantly working to keep that thick snow at safe levels. Authors like Terry Cunningham, whom you know as the deputy mayor of Bozeman, he's looking to help the Friends of Highlight keep it that way, using his book.
I always thought that I might have a novel in me.
For Cunningham, that novel started back in 1993 in the mountain ranges of Colorado.
My wife and I were in Ouray and Telluride, Colorado, and came upon a couple of really interesting things. One was a shack at the summit of Imogene Pass, which is at 13,000 feet. There's a crumbling old shack with a mailbox there, and I thought to myself, mailbox? How does any mail get here?
Here, meaning near the Red Mountain Pass, one of the most avalanche-prone areas in America. Cunningham says the thriller novel, aptly named Red Mountain Pass, found a home on his desktop. That old mailbox led to a thought. What about snowplows back here in Montana?
The snowplow plays an integral role in the story, and the Friends of Highlight pay for the plowing of Highlight Canyon.
Friends of Highlight Vice President Peter Bennett says there have been at least 10,000 cars up that road since Thanksgiving.
We contribute about $13,000 a year on average towards the plowing of the road. And so that's a pretty good chunk of change that we have to come up with.
So that was it. With each book sold, Cunningham made a vow, $3 each to help the Friends plow Highlight.
I sent them a check the other day for $250. We've guaranteed them a minimum of $500. I'm hoping to exceed that.
As for another book, Cunningham says his author days may be behind him, but putting his novel to use like this means so much more.
Being able to use the proceeds from this book to help others enjoy that is really special for me.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Well, the Bozeman Ice Festival, canceled due to COVID, aims to match donations made by up to $2,500 if collected by the end of the year, including from Red Mountain Pass. Copies of Red Mountain Pass are on sale at Country Bookshelf in downtown Bozeman. Well, it's the last day of the year and many people are ready to get 2020 behind them. A lot of people are hoping the COVID-19 vaccine is the key to returning to life like it was before the pandemic, but many are wondering when that's going to be possible. MTN's Annie Johnson takes a look at what's likely.
Last time we talked about COVID-19 vaccines, we were told to be patient and continue waiting. So where are we now, especially here in Gallatin County?
This minute, we've got vaccinations happening as we speak in those 300.
It's no surprise residents have been reaching out wanting more information about getting vaccinated.
There's been a lot of anticipation, I will tell you that. The community has certainly been anticipating the vaccinations to arrive here in Gallatin County.
But for the county, the process is just beginning. The health department just received their first shipment of 300 doses and are expecting 500 soon after that.
To emphasize, we are just getting started in the community with receiving shipments of vaccines.
Wednesday morning, Governor Bullock sent out more details about the state's distribution plan as a whole, going into the different phases and who specifically falls under each category. The phases are 1A, 1B, 1C, and then last phase 2, which would consist of everyone else not in one of the previous phases.
We're not going to receive the vaccines for the entire county all in one bulk shipment. So it's going to be metered through the community. This is going to take several months well into the summer before we get all the way through the population of Gallatin County.
Governor Bullock says vaccines are expected to be readily available late spring to early summer. It might not necessarily be the news you were hoping for. It's the last few days of the year and you might have thought you'd be vaccinated by now, but the good news is progress is still being made. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Well, medical workers in Butte are getting the COVID-19 vaccine, but Butte's health department says it's going to have to know how many more vials of the vaccine are coming before taking appointments for free vaccinations. MTN's John Amy reports.
Butte's health department has a rough plan of distributing the COVID-19 vaccines to the community, but they still don't know when people will be able to make an appointment to get one.
It is a substantial logistical effort with a light at the end of it.
The health department is waiting to see how many vials of the new vaccine it's going to get before it moves into the next phase of vaccinations, set to begin in mid-January.
While we can tell people who will be in those groups, the infrastructure on how we're going to do that needs to be talked about and implemented.
Next month, first responders, educators, and people 75 or older will be first in line. This will include public workers and grocery workers. By February, those 16 to 64 with high-risk medical conditions will get vaccinated, as well as other essential workers. And by March into summer, the general population will get their turn. Having the staff to administer these shots will be a challenge.
How are we going to work together to get enough nurses, pharmacists lined up to do the real work?
Now, the current vaccine comes in a vial that holds 10 doses, and it has to be kept frozen. And when they're ready to use it, they have to give it time to unthaw, and then they have a short window of time to use all the doses in each vial.
And then once you open the vial, you have to use the 10 shots within 6 hours. Otherwise, you can't use it after that. So there's a lot of planning going into, you open a vial, we want 10 arms available.
The health department says it will notify people as soon as they're ready to take appointments for these vaccinations. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Meantime, with the surge in coronavirus cases, Airbnb is taking new steps to keep large groups from ringing in the new year in vacation rentals. CBS's Nichelle Medina has a look at restrictions aimed at discouraging unauthorized house parties.
From coast to coast, authorities have been targeting people who choose to party through the pandemic, throwing so-called COVID parties. In Los Angeles, hundreds packed this vacation rental for an illegal house party.
It is frustrating and a little bit scary.
Cy Pilkington has 4 vacation rentals listed on Airbnb in San Diego. His properties are booked for New Year's, and he makes it clear parties are not allowed.
I have had a few that try and sneak a few people in. And, being on site, I catch that.
Airbnb is enforcing tougher global policies to stop large gatherings due to a spike in COVID cases.
If you're coming to Airbnb, you don't have a 5-star rating, and you're seeking to do a one-night reservation on New Year's Eve, you're just not going to be able to do that.
The platform has been updating its policies since the start of the pandemic, including putting a cap on occupancy, restricting guests under 25 without a history of positive reviews to book a listing, and even taking legal action against those who violate the rules.
That's just absolutely critical to prioritize public health.
Hosts like Cy are doing just that. He's abiding by the site's enhanced cleaning protocols.
Every unit between a stay is gone through and completely misted and sprayed with antibacterial cleaner to clean anything that might have been missed by the cleaning people.
The stepped-up efforts are designed to protect guests and keep vacationers from taking the virus home with them. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, San Diego.
Well, back here at home, the Forestry Division with the City of Bozeman is offering to help get rid of your Christmas tree this year. Between now and into the first few weeks of February, you can drop off your tree at Gallatin Regional Park off of Oak Street, Christie Fields on Mason Avenue, or the softball complex off Haggerty Lane. The city asks that you take off all decorations and leave trees in their natural state. Wreaths are not accepted. Trees will be recycled and turned into mulch.
So we run them through our processing equipment. We'll run them through our chippers, and then that gets mulched and sent to the solid waste division, and they're going to utilize that for their compost program in the spring.
The Christmas tree recycling program is free, and for anyone who would like to use the service, you can find a map showing where all drop-off locations are by visiting our website. Well, coming up here, loneliness is just one part of the problems the pandemic is bringing as isolation and quarantines becomes the norm around the world. Just ahead, learn how that isolation affects your brain. But first, here's a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, concerns are growing over the slow rollout of the coronavirus vaccine. We'll talk with a professor of infectious diseases about the threat of the new, more contagious strain and if vaccines can protect against it. Also, Americans have picked up hobbies during the pandemic, including mixology. We'll visit one distillery whose recipes are rooted in history and legend, including one that dates back to the Black Plague. And in our More Perfect Union series, spiritual leaders reflect on the troubles of the past year and share thoughts of hope and unity as we bid 2020 farewell. See you at 7.